Today on File New, we have a coverage of the Super Bowl and the on-site graphics. We have a good look into the Olympics, the opening ceremony. There is discussion about the Muppets and why they don't need a rebrand. We're looking at the crown from the Louvre and why it got mangled and what it looks like now. We have so many stories that I want to get into, and we have only a limited amount of time, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to hop right into the news. Starting off strong, let's start with Substack. Substack had a confirmed data breach that affected emails, addresses, and phone numbers of all of its users. So if you're someone who has used Substack as a creator, as someone who's creating a newsletter, or somebody who's sending things out, Substack has confirmed a data breach, and it said that it in October had an unauthorized third party that accessed user data, including email addresses, phone numbers, and quote-unquote other unspecified internal metadata. So there hasn't been any reports yet that it's been used for nefarious acts yet, but it is there. So just know that you need to be a little bit more wary if you're getting emails or phone calls from anyone. Then we have FPV, first-person view drones, are transforming Winter Olympics coverage, but the noise is dividing fans. If you guys are not watching the Olympics, the one thing you will notice immediately when you tune in is that there are drones flying around everywhere this year. And basically, this is a new view that you can have, and they're creating these really great views, like here in the luge. This is being reported on by Matt Grokut from Petapixel, and it has these really cool views of these awesome, like right behind the person, right up in the action, and it is only possible because they have these drone operators that are going and following every single one of the moves. There you can see here from Zool Sapiens that there's this shot of the drone right next to the skier. But immediately when you turn on the Olympics and you're watching anything, you're going to immediately hear the sound in any of the stuff. It's like that little buzzy thing that you hear whenever something is flying around. And I have definitely noticed it on every single sport, which is interesting. But it is kind of nice to have that viewpoint. I know that there is an artistry to being able to shoot on a drone and follow things. You can see here that there are some tweets, among other things, about like things that you just wouldn't be able to get otherwise. This is coming from Bilawal Sadhu, and you can see it's just following that skier all the way down. I'm wondering if they can use some sort of noise cancellation or something that would be able to get rid of the drone noise, because it is very prominent and you can hear it. But then you would probably lose some of the authentic sound of the sport, like the shredding of the snow or the luge going by really quickly. Have you guys noticed it, and does it bother you? Also, I'm really interested if eventually there's going to be an accident where like a drone runs into somebody and then it affects them getting a gold or their score or something, among others. Quickly heading back to the Substack story, because I see that Kendall is commenting on it. This is a live stream, unless you're watching in replay. It's great to have you here. Kendall is saying, oh no, I need to go check on Substack now. You would have received an email, so check your inbox and see if anything is in your inbox. Hello to everyone who's tuning in live. Like I said, we have a lot of news stories, so I will say hello in just a little bit. As far as TikTok goes, we talked a little bit about this last week, and then there was a pressing story like right after we went live. You can see this is coming from February 6th on Gizmodo, being reported on by Bruce Gill. It says that the EU says TikTok's addictive design likely violates the law and will need to change. It says European regulators have issued a preliminary finding that TikTok's most addictive features likely violate EU law, and they're seeking major changes. Things like the infinite scroll, the autoplay, the push notifications, and personalized recommendation algorithm, all things that we talked about last week, breach the Block Digital Service Act, and regulators say that the company failed to properly assess how those design choices could harm users, particularly minors. The commission says that TikTok will now have an opportunity to respond to the allegations before any final decision is made, but if regulators ultimately confirm the violations, the company could face fines up to 6% of its global annual revenue. Which, if you know how much TikTok is making. I mean, that's no small numbers. I'm interested to see how this affects things because, to a point though, as far as they are addictive, I do like infinite scroll. It is nice to not have to go and click just to continue and continue and continue. But I can also see how it could be probably bad for some mental ideas. Heading back to the drone for some commentary, I'm seeing that Dino is saying that they could mute the drone, but they love the first-person view cam, which is definitely something. Steven is saying at least these are the ones that don't go bang. Yes, these are just recording ones. These are not things that are going to cause any harm unless they run into someone, like Umacorn is saying, and saying accidents come to mind for me. Heading back to the TikTok discussion, Oliver is saying that he doesn't mind the infinite scroll, but he agrees that their push notifications are annoying, and he keeps turning stuff off, and then it randomly just starts turning them back on again. Yes, no joke. That is absolute serious stuff. Then we have an update. This is a little bit, you can see this was posted 4 weeks ago, but I had just seen it. It's coming from Adam Mosseri, who is the CEO of Instagram, and he's updating on the idea that there is a sort of penalty for using outside video programs before bringing things up to Instagram. So let's check it out.
There's a rumor that if you edit a video on another app and then you upload it to Instagram, we're going to demote your reach. That is not true. You can edit on whatever app you want and upload it to Instagram and not worry about having your reach limited in any way. The only exception is a word mark. So make sure that when you do upload that video, it doesn't have a word mark on top of it and you're good to go. Hopefully this clears it up. Peace.
So I posted that 4 weeks ago, and so the one thing that really stood out to me is one, like you can use things like Premiere Pro Mobile, which is an Adobe program with video editing. You could even make things on Premiere, or you can even make it Adobe Express, and you can push it over to Instagram. It's not going to affect your reach. It's not going to affect how the algorithm treats your video. But the one thing that I do think is really important to remember here is that if there are word marks that are on the thing, I think he's probably talking about TikTok in particular or CapCut, where it kind of like pops around just to remind you where it is and what it was created with. Those are going to obviously be a little bit more pushed down because they don't want to show that competition on the platform. But it is something to be aware of, that you have more freedom and you're able to then use different platforms. Do you guys use the Instagram Reels edit? Do you use Premiere? What do you guys think about this? And will you be changing how you approach videos with this information? Also, Kendall is wondering, as far as the TikTok story, since we were also talking about Instagram here, if that means that Instagram is also going to need to change. I'm sure they're probably also in discussions with Meta because they are all tied up in litigation. I know that even in America, TikTok's addictive design is also coming to the forefront. We talked about that last week, and that was showing up in Snap, Instagram, TikTok, all of the major players here. Kendall says she always edits in Premiere and then adds music and text via edits, since it can read the text to push better. And yes, that's what I was believing too. And I don't know if you're doing captions like in Premiere, if it's going to not be affected. They're not necessarily going to like push it down. I don't know if the system is able to read what is on the screen. They have some sensors and they have like different determining things to see what reels are about for protection, especially for like CSAP or whatever it's called now. So I would imagine that they have the technology. I just don't know if, I don't know if it's changing things or not. Penny says she likes to use Express to make videos for social media, which, that is definitely a capability of Adobe Express and something that I have been messing around with myself in recent months. Oliver uses Premiere Pro, and he doesn't care how it affects his reach. Make sure you guys check out Oliver's awesome nature photography on his channel. Since we are highlighting different people's Instagram videos, and we're talking a little bit about Adobe now, since we're talking about Premiere and stuff, I wanted to bring a Paul Tranny video up that he posted yesterday about Illustrator. There were some performance updates and some capabilities that were added to the platform. So I think it would be worthwhile to check out to see what is new. So off to Paul, who used to be the host of File New way back when. So this is like a little celeb experience.
New features in Illustrator hitting today that you've actually requested. Let's check it out. You can now export high quality TIFF files with accurate color profiles, transparency, all that good stuff. Also, when you save an SVG or Illustrator file and you bring that into After Effects, it'll maintain the integrity of the design and make it animatable. So these, say, gradients on this line work or anything, you can animate it now as well. Super cool. And you could also now open up an Illustrator file directly in InDesign and continue your work there, because chances are you're using Illustrator when some of you should be using InDesign. Next up, scaling, transforming, applying effects, 60 frames per second, because it's using multi-threading technology for editing vectors. And just like Photoshop, Illustrator now has partner models for generative shape fill, so GPT-4o, Nano Banana. It's all about giving you options. And lastly, in the Illustrator beta, there is Turntable that now has 360-degree views. Yes, turn it all the way around, up, down. In fact, you can even place all those views on canvas now. Super cool, easy sort of sticker sheet, if you will. And then you can even export it out as an animated GIF. So cool, so easy. You're now an animator. And those are the updates.
Thank you to Paul for that. I think it was funny that he was saying something like there's many of you that are using Illustrator when you should be using InDesign. So there's nice that there's that on-ramp now. So especially when you get too far down into a project and then you're like, oops, actually, I should be using a different program. There is an easier onboarding ramp for that. I also really am excited personally about the turntable 3D effect. I think that you can not only export it as a GIF, but I think that it's going to be really helpful when you're bringing those things into like After Effects and you just want to do like a turnaround, you want to change the position or perspective of something, and maybe it's an asset that a client gave you, or maybe it's like your own and you don't feel comfortable doing kind of the turntable thing, but without, assistance. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited to try that out. It's cool that it's finally 360. That way you can do a full turntable like the name suggests, I'm seeing that Dino says that he loves the turntable, and Penny is saying that's when you just copy from Illustrator and paste into InDesign. Just kidding. Yeah, no, it's not what we do. We have new updates so that we don't have to do that anymore. Then I teased this a little bit at the top of the show. There is the mangled Louvre crown. So we covered this a few weeks ago on the show. It's happened over 100 days ago now. This is what the crown used to look like before the heist happened. The museum just actually revealed what it looks like right now with the restoration progress, and it looks like somebody sat on the crown, which is really disappointing. Apparently, when they were trying to steal it, this is something that just like fell out of their hands and it battered on the pavement below. They said that this is the current state of it, but there is going to be repair work with hopes that it can restore its former glory. It was originally commissioned by Napoleon III. The royal headdress was created for Empress Eugénie de Montijo and presented at the 1855 Paris Universal Exposition. So, I mean, they're probably pretty upset about it. It has some really nice craftsman's work. The eagles look like they have been hurt quite a bit. I'm guessing that these look like they're flexible with these diamonds, but it looks like they're also entirely removed. So I just wonder who was scrambling around on the pavement trying to pick up the remnants of the destruction that happened. Kendall's saying, poor crown. Penny is saying, this is also me if I had the crown. Clever says that it definitely looks sat on. This next update is for all of our motion designers out there. This is coming from the Motion Mondays crew. I definitely hyped them up last week. I want to hype them up again. And this is their episode from Monday where they were talking about a bunch of different stuff. But one of the things that they touched on was for motion designers and conference season coming up. These are the 5 different conferences that they mentioned that are coming up that you can either buy tickets for or wait to buy tickets for. NAB is a really big one for video editors and video production. That one's over in Las Vegas, and it's from April 18th to 12th. And that is conferences and workshops. They also have show floors and exhibits. Hey, Nate. And there are like new technologies over there. Of course, File New will be covering from afar. I don't have tickets to go to NAB, but if somebody wants to send me, hey, I'm available. Then there is also the OFF, which is over in Barcelona, and that is April 16th to 18th. Then you have Camp MoGraph, which is out in Colorado this year. That's September 24th to 28th. Tickets are not on sale yet, but they say stay tuned because they just recently announced the dates for it. Then there is a one-day conference at the Columbus College of Art and Design called Making Midwest 2026, and it is a gathering that defends creativity in its purest form through connection, conversation, and creation. And then the very last one here is the ultimate conference for digital creators for all kinds. It is the FITC Toronto, and it explores the theme of rebirth this year. So in a world moving too fast and overwhelmed by AI and shiny new tools, we want to pause, reflect, and bring back the concepts that inspired us as artists. And that is both in person and online from April 27th to April 28th. Anybody going to any of these? I think I'm going to go to Camp MoGraph. I think I'm going to try to pull it off. I'm going to wait until tickets go out, and I'm going to make sure that I can at least get like good sleeping quarters or something. But if I can, I'm going to try to go to Camp MoGraph, and I will definitely report back. But then again, once again, thanks again to Motion Mondays. They do really great work. If you're really interested in specifically only motion updates, there's somebody to check out every Monday on YouTube. For back to some Adobe updates, I want to talk a little bit about a new model that just launched, since we're talking about video stuff here. This is a new exclusive thing for Adobe to be announcing that they have Ray 3, which is a new video model. This is a big deal because it is the first video model to support native HDR, which is high dynamic range. You have that on your phone, a lot of monitors, especially like a lot of gaming stuff. And this is 10 to 12 and 16-bit ACS EXR formats. This is a big deal also because it includes draft mode for rapid ideation and reasoning capabilities. One of the things that you'll see over and over again is that there are these AI videos that are coming out that are either text to video or some sort of adjustment of being able to take an image and then just like add a little bit of animation to it. But everything is like 3 or 4 seconds long because it needs to move on really quick because it just cannot do those things yet. Now, this is a thing that is exclusive for Adobe for the next week or so. Or maybe it was just till this week. But this is something that is now available to everyone who has Firefly plans. It says that it is working in text to video, image to video, edit video, and Firefly boards. And it gives deeper shadows and brighter highlights. Which is a great transition to when AI was not done well. And I want to talk quickly about the opening of the Olympics with a very obvious AI animation here. This is something that if you were watching the opening animation, the opening thing, this is something that cut off. This is the woman that was actually in like White Lotus season 2. I was excited to see her, but not as excited to see all of the just kind of like hastily put together AI. You can see here in one of the clips, a Redditor pointed out that there is a hockey player at one point with 2 hockey sticks. There's also a bunch of people in the background that just look like a horror movie. As far as some of the other fidelity of other stuff, it was great. But then something that you really ran into here is take a look at the rings down here. The official Olympics always have the specific colored rings, and here we have the blue and the yellow and the black. If you go over here, it's suddenly red and then green and then blue. If you go over here, it's blue and then yellow and then blue again. If you go into the back of this, it's blue, yellow, black, green, red. I think those are things that it's one thing if you're going to use, AI as the full production process. It's another thing if you're going to do that and then you're not going to be safe about it and you're not going to do your work and double check. And I think that is definitely something about creating a workflow that works with animators and real artists. And you can use it as a tool, but just don't plug in a celebrity's face and then kind of go from there. I don't know the full details as to what their turnaround was, what studio it was, who did it. But I and my friends, as we were watching it actively, were like immediately like, wow, that looks like AI. And that is not very good looking. I know that this was shown in America on America's broadcast, but over in the BBC they had this really cool like stop motion handmade thing that they had made, and this obviously looks completely better in 1,000 different ways, and it was just like I'm not going to watch the whole thing because I don't want to get like a context right here, but you can see they literally like set things up with like having the fire move through different stuff that they could do stop motion in. And they really went there with all the cameras. They had a whole set. And like the final product is 1,000,000 times better. a million times better. And there's not to say that you couldn't use any different new tools in here. If you wanted to maybe like even use like AI to like remove the little things that are holding people in place or wires or change things. Like that's all. I'm not saying that just because it was AI it was bad. It was more so that it felt sloppy and it just kind of was thrown out there, and it was on a multi-million-dollar broadcast, right? Oliver is saying that the BBC always does stuff like this for artists, which is cool. Mateem is saying that I love that AI is used to rush videos, but then they don't even bother to spend the time to check the video. Annika is saying, yeah, full production and then no post-production, which is a whole different thing. Wade is saying kudos to the BBC animation. There is, speaking of cool new technologies, there is a show that I'm going to see later this month. It's at the Shed in New York City. It is called An Arc, and there was some reporting. I found out about it through Charles Poulan-Moore from The Verge, and it is a recorded production. It is through the cast members that aren't physically present during the performance, but you're going to put on some mixed reality AR headsets that then feel like they're sitting right in front of you. It was directed as a traditional theater show that puts more emphasis on its actors' performances as opposed to elaborate sets. And the way that they filmed it is they filmed it with all of these cameras that kind of switched around, and then they're able to put it onto your face. It is a new play from writer Simon Stevens and mixed reality production specialist Todd Etkert. It's at the Shed in New York City. It's really cool because the Shed is a performance space that I have not been to. It's over in Hudson Yards. But the thing that is really exciting about the Shed is that it's called the Shed because it can physically go and move the space around it depending on whatever they're showing. So what does that mean? I'm going onto the website real quick. They're making sure I'm not a robot. But you can see here, like the whole structure physically can move like left and right, and it's on these giant wheels that then they can move to either have more shows or have stuff that needs more space or a different type of space. And so I'm excited to see how artists are using this. Apparently it looks like Ian McKellen is like talking straight to your face. And once I see it, I will let you know. But in that vein of that story, I do want to talk about an update that I saw also on Petapixel that said that the U.S. Air Force bans Meta smart glasses over operational security. As you know, you can get the Meta smart glasses as prescription glasses so they can be your actual glasses, and then they just also happen to have the smart AI in it or the cameras in it. However, the U.S. Air Force in January banned personnel from wearing smart glasses, and they said that they have a ban against anything that has photo, video, or artificial intelligence capabilities while in uniform. And it says that this is because even when a user believes recording is inactive, the presence of always-on sensors creates the possibility of inadvertent data collection. As we grow closer to this becoming more mainstream, I mean, I'm sure you've walked by a bunch of people with Meta glasses on and you don't even know that they're wearing them. There's also the new ones that we've talked about at length with the heads-up display that show actual things in the lenses. This is going to be something similar that's going to be like we're going to have to start talking about how this works in public settings. If you go to the theater and you have these glasses on, you're not supposed to be recording what's on stage. If you're in an intimate setting, like, you know, if you're on a date, like, are you allowed to be able to use these things? Winter says, is it always on? So they're not like always on in the idea of like, you know, you can go back and look at all recordings, but it is always on in the idea that like it has sensors and it has things that it's working on to help make the AI work. Not necessarily in a nefarious way. I mean, it's Meta, so we don't know. And it is a little shrouded, but there is the whole idea of these glasses. Cody is saying crazy. Yeah, it's just a crazy world that we're living in. Speaking of which, I did want to touch base on the Discord story that we teased at. Discord will require a face scan for ID full access next month. It says that they announced on Monday that it's rolling out age verification on its platform globally starting next month, when it will automatically set all users' accounts to a teen-appropriate experience by default. Users who aren't verified will not be able to access age-restricted servers and channels, won't be able to speak in Discord's live stream like stage channels, and will see content filters for content Discord detects as graphic or sensitive. Thank you to Stevie Bonifield from The Verge for reporting on this. There's some screenshots that are provided by Discord and showing you how it can blur things out. It says like may contain sensitive content, so you won't be able to see it, and that there are servers that can be age-restricted servers that then you would go in and you can either take a video selfie and scan your ID and be able to determine you are who you are. This is following up a lot of things that we were talking about even last week with a new gated internet and a new age internet. Talks about what is the surveillance of it all, what is the security falls of it all. We're seeing Winter in the chat saying dystopian surveillance. And Oliver is saying that Discord already rolled that out there in the UK, and it told me as in Oliver, it thought that he is an adult, and he was offended. Yeah, so this by default is going to actually be just saying everyone is adolescent unless there is something saying otherwise. On that note, I want to talk about Roblox because Roblox also is experiencing the same thing. They are, it says right here at the end of the story that we're going to be talking about right here by Lauren Forrestal, is that the open beta for what I'm about to tell you about is coming on the heels of Roblox's recent implementation also of mandatory facial verification for users to access chat features in the game following lawsuits and investigations related to child safety, because notoriously, actually, Roblox is having a really hard time with predators and other nefarious actors on Roblox taking advantage of just the sheer millions of children that are on Roblox. If you're not familiar with Roblox, Roblox is a game building tool and video game that every single kid is on. Their daily active users are through the roof. We are all adults, and we just are kind of completely unaware of this Roblox thing. Talk to anybody under the age of 15, and they will tell you exactly what Roblox is. It's on every platform. It's on every video game thing, and it helps people to create their own video games and let other people play them. There's also been brand activations that we've talked about on stream, like IKEA or even like fast food places. Now they are launching a 4D creation feature that is now available in open beta. This is something that they had teased at last year. They had created a one where you could just generate 3D objects that you could then static put into your video game. So you could like build a, water slide, or you could build a water fountain. I don't know why I'm doing all the water things here, but or you could do like a plant or a lamp, and you could implement it into your thing. But this is actually a new thing that they're rolling out where you can generate things that have multiple interactive experiences and accesses. The first thing that they're going to be launching in this 4D creation is something called the Car 5 schema. That is what they are calling it, as the schemas. And it can create a car, but it'll have 5 separate parts. So that'll be the main body and the 4 wheels. Then you can drive it around, and then it also will turn and move the wheels accordingly. And then they're also introducing body 1, which can generate any object made from a single piece, like a simple box or a sculpture. This is something where, once again, this is not 3D modeling. This is somebody generating things, and something that are just like pulling things out of thin air off of different generations, and then being able to then put it into this video game, and then suddenly you have a video game with a bunch of generated stuff. Interested to see how kids take this, how advertisers and creators across the board take this, and I'm interested to see where this goes. And I'm also interested to see at the efficacy and how well they work, and if they break a lot or what have you. This is all something that will be in the history books, of course, and I came across this interesting post on Instagram, and I wasn't sure if it was true, so I did a little bit of research behind it to see if it was true, and according to the Instagram channel Cinema Occupy, it says more films are lost from the 20th century than books from the Middle Ages. And this is actually then something that I popped up on Wikipedia that said during most of the 20th century, which is the 1900s, American copyright law required at least one copy of every American film to be deposited at the Library of Congress at the time of copyright registration. However, the Librarian of Congress was not required to retain those copies. So now it is reported that around 75% of original silent era films have perished. 14% of the 10,919 silent films released by major studios exist in their original 35mm or other formats, but 11% only exist in full-length foreign versions or film formats of lesser image quality. Of the American sound films from 1927 to 1950, an estimated half have been lost. And this is something that I wanted to bring up because we're also kind of living again in this era of weird digital preservation. This is happening with video games. This is happening with movies and TV shows. I specifically wanted to bring up the HBO situation with Westworld when they took it off of their streaming service and there hadn't been Blu-rays or anything, so it was just gone for a little bit. Like, luckily then it then got picked up and now you can do it video on demand and you can buy it somewhere. But they had canceled the show kind of unexpectedly, and then it was just gone because they removed it from their servers. I think that as creators in a digital environment, we always need to be really aware of backing up our stuff for our own sake in case our computer crashes or if a service goes down or gets hacked or something awful happens. That said, I think that there are really cool services like Wayback Time Machine that then will go and save parts of the internet, but at the same time, like, things can be lost forever. And these things, like, for example, Behance Chat right now, like, that's going to be gone in 30 minutes once this show is over. YouTube, you can check the replay on the YouTube video. If you're watching the replay, it's good to see you. And as a reminder, you can always go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you can subscribe to the File News Show, where I edit down the other episodes as they go on and I put them up onto the feed, so then you can go and you can watch it. Do me a favor and give that a follow and subscribe. This is on Adobe Live, as you know, and right now we are on Wednesday, February 11th, right here for the weekly design news with Ryan Selvey, yours truly. After this, in about 30 minutes, we're hopping over to Twitch for Cinema Collective, conversations on filmmaking, crafts, and careers, and that's with Courtney and Ashley, known as CA in LA. Tomorrow we have a full in-studio day with Emily Poulin being an awesome host, Andrew Hockraddle, who just did the vodcast just before now, and there is a whole day of great content from Misconnections and On the Spot with Magdiel Lopez, who Magdiel Lopez is the one who created the splash page for Photoshop. On Friday we have another TikTok stream and then also an education content on YouTube at 11 o'clock. So check those out. Did we go through all of our news stories? I think we might have. Now, normally we move right over here into our Font of the Week, but since we have so much content today, I am going to push Font of the Week one section back, and instead we are going to hop over to Rebrand. I'm really excited about this one. I want to talk quickly about the Super Bowl graphics. This is a reel that I made for Instagram, and it is doing quite well. So it seems to me that people are really interested in it. So please excuse me. I'm Ryan Selvey on Instagram, but we're just going to watch my reel real quick, and then we can talk about it. Super Bowl graphics leaned back into that NFL look this year. You had all the usual suspects like swoop. We're going to restart it. Super Bowl graphics leaned back into that glossy NFL look this year. You had all the usual suspects like swooping 3D elements, glitches, and glassy planes. It felt like a strong departure from last year's flat, minimal approach. But there is still plenty of cool stuff happening that I want to show you. I'm Ryan Selvey, and I cover design and creator news. Most of the information design was centered around the score bug at the bottom of the screen. You could see who had the possession, and then a panel would drop down to show down and distance. They kept most of your attention right in the center of the score bug. When a flag was called, that's also where it was called out. Then something would pop up and explain the call and clearly highlight which team committed the penalty. They also made fun player-specific animations for touchdowns, but they must have only done it for receivers and tight ends, because when a linebacker ended up scoring a touchdown, they just played a generic team one. They also replaced the entire score bug sometimes when they were showing lower thirds for player stats. And they didn't transition in, they normally just appeared on hard cuts, so they felt really still, and then they decided to make them blink. However, there were special lower third callouts they had recorded footage of them kind of looking up from below, and that made everything feel way more alive and way more seamless. Quarterbacks also got half-screen callouts with the player's full-body green screen next to their stats. And then the other players had on-field callouts during replays with these arrows, but they didn't look as nice, and they had some really unfortunate arrow placing. And then even at one point, they visualized airflow inside the stadium using animated 3D arrows composited directly over the live footage. Anyway, thanks for inviting me to your Super Bowl party. Sorry I was just here for the motion graphics. So yeah, that's my little reel about the Super Bowl. I feel like every year I am always kind of focused on the graphics, and then I'm kind of surprised I never see anyone talk about them. So I decided to make a reel about it, and I was excited to see that other people were really interested in it. I'm seeing that Cody also noticed the glassy graphics as well, laughing at me watching me. It is a little bit strange. It's already weird enough when I have to edit myself. This year, the entire logo in the middle of it was this CMYK thing, where you can see that there's overlapping of things, which is was the printer colors, and that was in the middle. They really didn't match the glossiness of the broadcast package that they had. I really liked the glass see-through thing that they had, but then there were other ones. Like I said, this one, man, when it's just pointing to his butt, I'm just like, we should have. I like it when they do little circles around it like a video game to make it look like you're controlling them. Oliver's laughing at the unfortunate arrow placing. And Winter also agrees that the blinking was awkward. If we could just touch back very briefly again on the Discord thing, because I did see something from Kendall that I did want to call out. Yes, they did have a breach last year with IDs for users, and it was through a third party, but it definitely hurts their credibility to be like, okay, if you're going to require everyone to have ID, like, one, it hopefully is not a third party. Two, hopefully it's not the third party that messed it up earlier. And three, just like, what are you going to do with all that? Because there's going to be so many more people when it wasn't required. And then we have the update to the Super Bowl graphic for next year. So I wasn't too wild about this year's. I mean, I love print design. Don't get me wrong. I love CMYK, and I love being able to play homage to it. But it did not feel like it worked well. This was spotted by Armin at Brand New. The next one is LXI, and it has these waves, and it has kind of like this border around. It's interesting. They have like this little shine on the football for the trophy for everything. Though you can see like here it's reflecting this X, but here it's not reflecting the orange. Strange choice. Also, I think the legibility is kind of getting hurt with the wave behind the word Super Bowl. I also don't know if the trophy in the middle of the front reads well. Like, I kept reading this as LIX, as LIX, whereas obviously I think LIX was LIX last year, so that even made it more confusing, because I think it goes LIX, LX, LXI, just with how Roman numerals work. This year it's a little bit more clear with the L, the X, and the I, but it seems strange. I don't know how they landed on this. I don't know how they got here. How do you guys feel about that? What are your thoughts? Do you guys like it? Do you hate it? Are you indifferent? Let me know in the chat. I also wanted to talk about this crazy update to the Philadelphia Museum of Art rebrand. So a few weeks ago, back in November, we were talking about how Sasha Suda was suing the Philadelphia Art Museum because she was dismissed as the director after she pushed forward a update to their branding to change the name and change the logo. It referenced something back from 1938 for the Griffin, and people were mad. People were so mad. A lot of people were saying it was because she didn't consult the different board, and she kind of like pushed things through, and she got fired, and then she sued, and it was like, okay, then what are we gonna do? So then it stuck around as the Philadelphia Art Museum for a while, but then they just announced on the 4th that they said they will update its recent brand changes by returning the name of the institution to Philadelphia Museum of Art while retaining the Griffin logo and brand identity that were introduced in recent months. It says that this reflects the recommendation of the interdisciplinary task force of museum trustees and staff. It says that the Museum Board of Trustees voted unanimously to embrace this move. There is an updated Griffin logo that they'll use, and they'll use the Philadelphia Museum of Art again with an updated word mark. And the URL, its email addresses, and social channels will return to Phil A Museum, and the FAM acronym will no longer be used. So then you have kind of before and after here, right? And this is so interesting because, like, if we look at this, let's see what this is. If we look at this just from kind of like a before and after sense here, let's see if I can even pull it up. Do I have it? Did I save it? I think I saved it, right? Yeah. Here we go. I'm going to pull up Photoshop really quickly. And what we're going to do is we are going to select this bad boy. All right. Let's just put it on top of each other so that we can then like see the difference, okay? This is the after now with this weird of that I think really is kind of creating it. And you can see things are just kind of like moving around. I mean, what happened? Can we do like a different blend mode? No. Okay. Maybe I would have to like change the hue of it. But I think Philadelphia Art Museum looks cleaner. The of is, I understand why they made it tiny, and it's better that they made it tiny. But now like the diamonds aren't centered. Like, it doesn't go through the center of the circle anymore. What's up with that, right? Like, what's up with that? Why are we not in the center anymore? Like, before we were in the center. Or are we more in the center now? I don't know. Now my criticism's invalid. I'm not sure. It seems like a weird change. Yeah, it looks like a mask with a reading light. Was that what you're saying about the Super Bowl logo? That's hilarious. So anyway, I wonder how Sasha Suda is feeling about this. Oliver saying, what was the name of the rebrand? I think they just wanted to update it. Also, I'm wondering if like they literally just, when they were creating the logo, they were like, we don't want to have to deal with like an of or something. So they got rid of the of, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's talk about the Muppets, though, since that is on the thumbnail, and it is something that I'm really excited about. The Muppets came back to the Disney Plus as a new kind of like potential pilot here. And there's something that's really interesting here. I put the 1974, when was it? 1976 Muppet Show? Is that what it is? Is it Muppet Show? 1976? Yeah, 1976. Version. This is 1976. This is the one that just aired. You can see that obviously they've switched to a new broadcasting aspect ratio that is widescreen for more TVs. But outside of that, the intro of season 2 is identical to the new season that just came out, except now it's in high def. It has better puppets. It has better lighting. It has more space, and it is beautiful, and it is great, and it is well done. And I suggest anybody go watch it that is even just thinking about watching it. It's great for both adults and kids. You can see here that they have these stages that are pretty much a one-to-one, like especially even like right here, a one-to-one of what they were originally. You've got, all the classic characters. And I think that I really wanted to call out here is that one of the successes that is really great is that you can see that the logo has largely remained unchanged here, okay? There are some small changes, like obviously it's flatter, they don't have the drop shadow, but like look at the T for the. Look at the extenders of outside the S and how the S ligature is connecting to the H. This is something that through all of the iterations that they've had, it looks like they've changed it very seldomly, and there's a big success in that. I was looking on line to see just a little bit more history about the Muppet Show and the people that were creating it, and I found this lengthy post from somebody named World Puppet, Andy Walmsley, and it's talking about how he was a set designer, or she actually, no, it's Andy Walmsley, and saying that they were able to get their hands on some of the original blueprints for the different show, and as you look here, and as you're zooming in, you can see that these are near identical to what came out. Now, you might wonder like why I'm making such a big deal about this. Like whatever, they're just recreating things. But the Muppets, as you know, has been an intellectual property that has kind of had a hard time the last 20 years. And if you remember, there were 2 other shows here that they tried to launch. They had the Muppets, which I believe was like 2015. And then they had this Muppets Mayhem that I think was like 2022 or 2023. And both of them did not last long. They definitely did not get renewed. The Muppets was like a weird Office ripoff. And like Kermit has like cell phones and they were like interacting with each other. This one was more focused on like the rock band of it all. And they just didn't land well. And there's something to be said about going back to the classics, going back to what the public understands to be like the motive and the creation of a brand, and then just enhancing it and just elevating it. And I think that this is a perfect example of being able to take something and just refine rather than revisit. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time that you're coming up with something. And like, sometimes it just works. If you're like, okay, this works, let's just make it a little bit better. Oliver says that he needs to watch it. Winter is saying that she loves the Muppets. It is it's a beautiful episode. It's also just a pilot. They don't know if they're going to make it into a whole new series. I'm hoping enough people watch it because Sabrina Carpenter is the first host, and it's just so much fun. And it's just so well done. And I definitely suggest going to see what it's all about. Speaking of not reinventing the wheel, though, there was a nice article by Grace Snelling for the Olympic Cauldron and how it kind of became to be what it is. It says this year, for the first time ever, there's going to be 2 cauldrons, and they're active right now. They were lit simultaneously during the open ceremony, and they were inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's geometric drawings. It expands and contracts. It responds to music. It can even emit its own light. and then one actually puts on hourly performances for viewers. There are over 1,440 components making up its intricate structure, 244 pivot points. It has LED lights along the surface of those components to give the cauldron an otherworldly glow. The Olympic flame is enclosed in a glass and metal container. And it's something that they said might expect to see descending from the heavens, or a much less foreboding eye of Sauron. When they first lit it, it kind of looked like a wreath, okay? And it like lit up with these LED panels. Thank you. This is actually coming straight from the Olympics for their website and their Instagram. But as you see, then it kind of turned into this expanded piece that was cool as far as kinetic sculpture goes, and then like revealed the middle and paint. But to me, personally, and let me know if you guys see this as well, it's giving this desk toy. It's giving the idea of this thing that then like expands and contracts, and that you just like put over your head and like have a party, and like you're like probably somebody, you know, picked their nose and then smeared the burgers all over it, and then you're picking it up. And so I don't know. I think there's something to be said. Like I kind of just want an old cauldron. I just want a big, bulky cauldron in the middle of a stadium that they go and they light it up, and it's flames, and it's the Olympics. When I read more about it being Leonardo da Vinci's geometric drawings, I did kind of start to appreciate it a little bit more. I do like the kineticness of it all. I like that it moves. I like that it interacts with its environment and puts on shows and stuff. I think that's very cool. I just almost am like, can't we just have like a normal cauldron and then do cool things around it? Because I'm not sure if I'm wild about the design. I think there were a few things that happened with the Olympics where I was like, this could be different. I wasn't wowed super with the opening ceremony. There was this wrapper that had this really cool setup where like everyone had these see-through suits on that then had like drawings on top of them. And when you cast shadow on it, it made these really long shadows and illuminated the silhouettes of the dancers in a really cool way. And then they like played around with it. But the camera kept changing over and over and over again. Every single time that you like just wanted to sit in a moment and see the experience, they would like do a sweeping overhead, like circle around, or they would do something where like you like I get what you're doing. You're trying to show me all the angles, but like I almost want to just see like one perspective and experience it how somebody in the audience is experiencing it, because I feel like it was made for that moment. And I think it really was actually a detriment to the performance itself, because it was really cool, but it felt like it wasn't as cool as it could be, and it kind of lost interest just because, it was trying to do too much. Similarly, they have like these blueprints of the stage. Apparently, it's referential of the old, like before even like 100 years ago stadium. And it had these light up LEDs that I liked, but they kind of got boring after a while. Like there wasn't enough kineticness to this one in the way that I'm like giving criticism to the torch or the cauldron, where I wanted this to be more kinetic and this move around. They had 4 entry points, and like the different people came on and then they sat kind of around it as it built out. With the dynamic LEDs were cool, and they had like LED screens that then they played with the audience. But like as far as the stage itself, I wanted to see more move. You can see like here, and these are all coming from The Guardian. There was some really cool stuff with the stage being underneath like blazing rings that I feel like normally comes up a lot. There were these fun paint globs that came down, and then these actually ended up like spreading around. These cute little note people, like the black was showing music notes and the white was blending into the stage. This is, by the way, is from Tom Jenkins from The Guardian. There were also these dudes. They were dressed up as Italian composers, and this was by Alessandro Garofalo for Reuters. And yeah, did you guys watch it? Were you into it? Look, I can show you. This is when I'm talking about how there were like cool shadows and stuff, but you didn't really get to see it. Oh, and this is when it kind of like fanned out with all the different stuff. And this is coming from CNN Sports. Wade really likes the drawn outfits. Yeah, I think this would have been my favorite, and maybe still is my favorite, but it hit different. Oliver said that the constant camera moving, watching stuff like this is annoying. And my team is saying that they loved the house DJ when they were introducing the countries. He played some great music. Yes. So there was plenty that was right. I don't mean to just like take a big poo-poo on the entire Olympics. Just if I were to do it, I would have done it differently. All right, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We still got a lot to go through. I'm talking so fast. But we're going to do Font of the Week, where you guys get to vote on the font, and we get to see which one is going to be declared a winner, like the Olympics. So let's get a poll up real quick so you guys can vote as soon as you want to. Font of the Week, we do every single week on the show, and it is a way to look through the endless catalog of Adobe fonts and try to narrow down a few ones that would be really good to work on a project. And we leave that up to the audience to be able to vote on and pick out one that they feel most tied to. This week we have 3 different typefaces. We have like a scripty one, a sans serif, and a serif, trying to give you guys some diversity here. You can see the first one is Bestia. It is designed by Maximiliano Sproviero from Sproviero Type. It is a high contrast brush script that commands attention with bold sweeping strokes inspired by Mac's pointed brush calligraphy practice. It is conveying raw energy. It has gestural forms that are perfect for high-end brands and glossy magazines. Subtle shifts in contrast provide dramatic emphasis for large type and improved readability at smaller sizes. Daring and lively. It is definitely going to leave a mark, and it is available as a variable font or in 4 styles: display, heading, subhead, and small. I have it pulled up here. We can see what it looks like when we type out file new. We can also take a very quick look at the glyphs for us. You can see it has uppercases and lowercases. I can go through and type out everything, but it's not going to look as good if you put it all in uppercase. I don't like how the F is backwards. I know a lot of typefaces do that. I'm not wild about it. Going to our glyphs panel, you can see that there's lots of accents for the ability to use different languages. And then towards the bottom, there are a very few amount of different glyphs here that you can use, but they do have all of the regular punctuation and math that you need. Then we have Manifold Extended, which is a lot more sci-fi and actually kind of feels closer to file new branding here. They also have a bunch of accents here. They don't really have many ligatures or anything, but there is some looks like Greek letters here. There's also great numbers of different varieties with fractions and more math homework stuff. They have copyright and rights reserved stuff on here, but nothing that is particularly too heavy on like the imagery of everything. Please excuse my noun product. Great extension though. So this is Manifold Extended. It has uppercases and lowercases, and you can see that it is quite a pretty font. I mean, I like sci-fi, so I'm a little biased here. But this is coming from Connery Fagan, and it is a utilitarian sans serif that merges terminal-inspired precision with warm unified structure and a tall X height. This is ideal for interfaces, for short copy, and tracked out cinematic titles and headlines, so make a big thing. Squid is saying it reminds me of Eurostyle, which is one of my favorites. Thank you also, Cody, for putting the poll in the Behance chat. If you're ever on Behance, 1, you're about to get cut off, so make sure you hop over to YouTube, but 2, hop over to YouTube so that you can vote in the poll. It says this is suited for text, sports, editorial, and bold branding. It has 8 weights, matching italics, and support for Latin, Cyrillic, and Vietnamese. And it can cover more than 30 languages. So way to go. And I didn't realize until I was putting all this together that I accidentally did 3 with 3 black thumbnails. So I guess we're just staying nice and consistent. The last one we want to look at is Rogue Serif, designed by Rian Hughes, not Ryan, Rian. And it's from Device Fonts, who we have definitely featured before. They don't do the best write-ups for their types, so I'm just going to read what they told us, and then we can kind of go off of that. It says it's a serif companion to Rogue Sans. It is a versatile, modern, clean, square serif, sturdy, masculine, and corporate, futuristic, and exciting. You can see here they use it for a rock garden. They also use it for like rights and privileges, kind of, I guess, like the beginning of a pitch or something. This one's fun because it's a serif, but it's very blocky. It's not quite a slab serif, but it is not quite just like a regular serif. It has support for obviously uppercase and lower cases. You can see that when you put it all in uppercases, it still reads quite well, which is nice. It has a bunch of different weights for you, so you can go all the way down to light, all the way up to like bold italic. Also, just to show you guys what this looks like, this has both everything from thin all the way up to heavy. And then for this one, this is got headline, it's got display, it's got small for when you want to make things smaller, and it's also got subhead. But these stay the same weight for the most part. It's mostly with the tracking and how the letters connect. As far as the glyphs go, for Rogue Serif, they're kind of what you'd expect. All different blocky stuff. They have your rights and your copyright, and they don't really have any visual ones except this little guy, which I don't know what he says. And then some stuff to do your math homework, I think. Yep. But yeah, those are the 3. Make sure you guys vote. And I am excited to declare a winner. We're about to lose you, Behance, so make sure you hop on over to YouTube. I'm seeing that Dino says that they like the numbers in the manifold font. I agree there. I'm also seeing that Rogue is a super nice looking font coming from Indie Season. And yeah, I personally have a favorite. I try not to tell you guys what my favorite is though, because I don't want it to switch it out. And McCorn's laughing at our math homework. Yes, we always gotta mention our math homework, because I know somebody out there is looking to really impress their teacher with their design skills while they're doing long division. All right, we're not going to get through all this, but we're going to hop into resources since I teased it, and I need to make sure that we touch on it. This is dedicated to filmmakers. This is the Director's Library. It's an independent release platform and resource for the film, video, and creative industries. They said that they are a member of the BFI's Film Audience Network in the UK and are partnered with ARRI, or maybe it's ARRI, Kodak, and Panavision to explore opportunities to amplify select projects on social. It's a very pretty, very easy to use website. And it is, if you want to actually just it's going to be linked in the raindrop. Everything is always linked in the raindrop here for you guys. But if you're interested in going to the Director's Library yourself, it is just directorslibrary.com. Pulling it up here, you can see that there are a bunch of different videos that you can go through, and then you can click in, you can just watch them. They've got shorts, music videos, campaigns, behind the scenes. They've got frames that are inspiring, all different creators, and it's just a really good, nice, free resource to find online. Speaking of resources, though, I've got a resource for you guys, and it's my face. This is a series that I'm doing on Adobe Live. It is ALOD. Right now, it's labeled as the How-To Guide for Illustrator with Ryan Selvey, but it is going to be a bunch of different programs. The first 2 are Illustrator. The second 2 are Photoshop. The first one is essential tips to work faster in Adobe Illustrator. So these are ways to just kind of speed up with keyboard shortcuts and stuff. And then also the second one is how to troubleshoot Adobe Illustrator. The third one that is coming out, I believe, on Friday, are different keyboard shortcuts that you can use to enhance your drawing skills and your ability to check your own work in Photoshop. And then the fourth one is trying to retrain yourself from old habits to be able to then go in and learn the things that Photoshop has introduced to replace old processes. Like, for example, the one that I was really focused on was if you go, or maybe can I even open it? You guys can see what it's going to be. This isn't coming out for a while, but I made this sloppy little pattern thing, and before you had to go, you had to flatten everything, and then you would have to go to filter, other, offset, and then you'd have to do it, and then you'd move things around. A few years ago, I think this is 5-6 years ago now, they actually introduced a new view, which is pattern preview, and it just automatically shows you, and then as you move things around, even smart objects, it's going to then move and kind of recreate it. So then once you turn it off, it's still there though. And this also works for if you were to create a new thing here. Wait, did I do it right? Where's my mouse? And I draw, it will then also reflect it accordingly, which is pretty cool. And that's just all within there. So it's a few things like that. So make sure you check out the Adobe Live YouTube channel, and you're able to then see that as it broadcasts. It comes out every Monday and Friday thing. Also, KBit is saying, or maybe it's KB Thanks, is saying that they learned some new things with that series, and I love it, so thank you. Also, Cody is saying that she loves the pattern preview. Oma Corn says, great tips, Ryan. Saw those. And Sean's also here. Hi, Sean. Thanks for being here. So you guys can check that out on the YouTube page or there. These aren't as important. I guess I didn't also tease them, so we don't have to. But without even clicking on hyperlinks to do the little transition, maybe we should still let's still press the transition. It's all on principle. There is a fun website for optical toys. This is just for inspiration. This is part of our series where we just look at fun things around the internet. And this is optical toys, optical illusions, just optical.toys. If you literally look at the Thatcher effect, you can see this, and it looks like, oh, that's Margaret Thatcher. She's totally fine. And then you click, boom. What do you know? It tells you what it's about, how it works. It has sites and extras explaining it, and then there's a bunch of different stuff on here. We might have even looked at maybe the concentric spirals at one point, and and just kind of talked about this, but it's a fun distraction. Don't let your boss figure out that you're just playing with toys on the computer. Tell them you're watching File New and you're learning and enhancing your skills. That puts us just at time. We do have CA in LA going live as we speak. Maybe I'll post these on the Discord. Make sure you guys join the Discord for your source of all things File New. You'll also, have me post different stuff throughout the week. I'm also seeing Francisco here posted this today, but I have not gotten there. But I would love to check this out. Francisco, we will check this out next week. It is a French design case study that they did this year. So yes, if you put that in there, definitely check it out. But also I'm posting links throughout. This is a really funny CBS evening newscast about someone trying to use a computer back in 1995 and just being like so frustrated about it. But I digress. Let's finish this out quickly with Font of the Week. All right, guys, we got 41% lead here, and the winner goes to, drum roll, Manifold Extra, or Extended, not Manifold Extended. Manifold Extended by Connery Fagan, from Connery Fagan, is the winner of this week's Font of the Week. If you're ever curious about the other winners or where you can access all of this, there is a link in the raindrop that you can go to. And I always take the winners and we put them into the Font of the Week winners. You can see that I need to find it real quick. Where are you? Manifold. And then I'll go and I'll put it right here. If you go over here, then it has all of the ones from like the last 29 episodes or so. And you can go through and you can click through them. You can activate them. You can use them in your projects. If you end up using any in your project, please let me know. Put them in the Discord. If you don't want to have them on stream, please let me know. Because I would love to showcase your work if you're cool with it. But that is a lot. We went through so much. So much. Look at all that. Like I said, coming up next, we have CA in LA, a wonderful duo talking about film and collective conversations on filmmaking, craft, and careers. So see you guys all over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Adobe. Thank you to Cody for staying extra time, as always, because I always go over these days. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. We have... let's try this. Let's vote it better this time. Okay, let's word it better here. Thank you for watching Adobe Live. Make sure you follow Adobe Live for future content and updates. How's that? Is that a good soundbite? Because if they're doing an update here, like I feel like we need to change it, right? So thanks for watching. Follow Adobe Live on YouTube for more videos like this. How's that? Okay, and follow me on Instagram. I am Ryan Selvey, RyanSelvy, and on Blue Sky, I'm ryanselvey.com. So thank you all. See you all over on Twitch. And I'm actually not live tomorrow, which is weird. So I'll see you all next week. All right. Bye, guys.